Hello, everyone. Hi there. Welcome to this session on data analytics using Microsoft Excel. This is the 10th day in the training program. So anybody who's joining for the first time, who hasn't gone through the previous videos, please do start from day one. It will help you understand the flow well. So let's get started with today's topics without much delay there. Yesterday we had discussed about the get pivot data feature that is available, through which we can fetch the data that is necessary from a pivot table, and we can use it, for whatever purpose. Then we talked about creating calculated fields depending on a requirement. We can do this. We also talked about using the inbuilt calculations which are present in Excel, which can be accessed using the show data as option. Under this, we had looked at computing percentages, percent of column total, percent of row total, or percent of the grand total. Then computing the difference with respect to a specific value or difference with respect to the previous value. And similarly, difference with respect to the next value also can be computed. On similar lines, we can also get the percent difference. So we will continue with the same today, look at a few more options that are there, few more inbuilt calculations which are available. Then we will talk about slicers, timeline filter, and then we will start with some basic charts that can be created in Excel. Okay, so that is the agenda for today. Now let me open the copy chain data that we use. We've been using this data for the past 3 days now. Okay, same data I'm using. This is our data. We know how it is organized and all. Now I will simply go ahead and change the data type of my date field to date, because later when I use the date filter, I would want it to behave properly and not, detect. If we don't assign the date as a data type, it might not detect the date field appropriately sometimes. Okay, sometimes it does, but to be on safe side, it is better that if we have a date field, we assign the date as a data type. Okay. So this is our data, which is just a range of values. So as we always do, first I'm converting it into a table. Okay, my table has headers option is selected, and I'm going to give a name to this table over here. Coffee chain. Okay, let's say I want to use this kind of a structure. So my data is ready. Now I will go ahead and create a pivot table with this information by clicking on this option on the table contextual ribbon, summarize with pivot table. So this is the range. Okay, I think it didn't take the name of the table. Anyway, okay, it's table 1, and I want the pivot table in a new worksheet. Okay. We can give a name to the table, pivot table also over here, which is what will appear here in the header. Now let me do a little bit of formatting, as we always do, to increase the overall size of the sheet and the columns. Okay, now I will create a pivot table using the date field. Okay, so let's focus on getting the year over year difference kind of a thing. So I'm going to keep date in the rows shelf. And we know that when we use date field, it will not show us the exact date as is, but it will roll up the date and store the dates as a hierarchy. So year can be drilled down to get quarters. Quarter is drilled down to see the exact dates in there. Okay, now I would like to slightly reorganize this data. So I am going to take quarters to the columns shelf. Now you can see how it's getting adjusted accordingly over here, right? We have years coming up as rows, and we have quarters coming up as columns because of the way they've been arranged. Now I'm not interested in seeing the grand totals here. So what I'll do is go up to the design ribbon. Go up to the design ribbon, and I will just turn off the grand totals for rows and columns. I'm happy with this kind of a structure and with this much information that is there. Okay, now let me put some values, data values into that. In here, let's say the sales data into the values shelf. Every time this somehow goes away. Okay. So now I want to show these numbers as a difference from the prior value. Okay. So from this quarter to this quarter, what has been the improvement in the sales? And I would like to show that as a percentage. From here to here, what has been the improvement in sales? And I want that as a percentage. So if we have to see the percent increase, basically year over year increase. From this year to this year, what is the increase? Okay, quarter wise. From this year to this year, what is the increase? How to do that? We can right click in any of the cells, go to show values as option. And then from here, these are the calculations which are available. And we need percent difference. So I'll have to go to more options down here. When I select more options, it will open the window from where I can apply the formula. So I'll have to first select this option, show data as, and then I will say, I want to get the percent difference. Okay. And that should be at year level. So I need the difference of the year compared to the previous year. Year compared to the previous year. Now, once I do this, you can notice how the percentages are computed and displayed, isn't it? So from here to here, the percent improvement in the sales, the year over year growth is 8.31%. From here to here, the year over year growth is 1.53%. And here to here, the year over year growth is 1.45. Suppose I remove quarters, it is just showing the year over year growth. Okay. So whatever was the sales made in 2012, in 2013, there was a 4% improvement in that value. Oh, okay. I hope you're getting, there was a 4% improvement in that value. So it depends on how you design the structure. I'll just undo the last step, bring back quarters. So in each quarter, how much improvement was seen is also being displayed. Okay. Now let's say I want this difference with respect to the prior quarter, not like this vertically down, but how much, what is the improvement in the sales in quarter 2 compared to quarter 1 of the same year? Okay. How is quarter 3 doing with respect to quarter 2? How is quarter 4 doing with respect to quarter 3? Okay. If you have to compare the performance of one quarter with the prior quarter of quarter 3 with quarter 2, of quarter 2 with quarter 1. And for quarter 1, there is nothing to compare it against, right? So that will be blank. How to do this? Now I will simply go there to my show values as option, which comes up upon doing a right click. Okay. You right click in the cell and you will get an option called as show values as on the context menu. And if you see when you hover there, another menu will pop up. Now I will go to more options. And this time, whatever percent difference from I have applied, I'm going to edit it. I will say, I want it at quarter level. Okay, I want the difference to be computed and expressed as a percentage at quarter level of detail and with respect to the previous quarter. Okay, Avinash, is it better now? Let's see. Let me know if there is still any disturbance, okay, in a while. All right, this is at quarter level and with respect to the previous quarter, I'm doing it. Okay, so once we do this, what will happen? It is comparing the performance of one quarter with the prior quarter. Where there is nothing to compare Q1 again, so that remains blank. But compared to Q1, Q2 has seen an improvement in the sales by 6%. Compared to quarter 2, quarter 3 has seen an improvement in sales by 3.4%. And compared to this, Q4 has seen a decline in the sales by 6%. Okay, now let me do one thing. I will show the actual sales also. So I'm going to bring sales again down here into values. And you will see a new field values coming up in the columns shelf because we are looking at multiple values here, right? What do we have as the first member? Quarter. So we have quarter 1. What is the next member under quarter 1? Values. What are those values? One is sum of sales, the other is sum of sales 2. Okay. So quarter under that values. So you can see quarter, under that you can see both the values. Sum of sales and sum of sales 2. Okay. Now what I will do is move these values down here. So when I bring it to rows, what will happen? Those values which happen to be sum of sales and sales too, they are coming as rows. Now let's rename this to actual sales, and I will rename this to percent difference, or it is simply quarter over quarter growth that we are showing. Okay, quarter over quarter growth. Now I think it is more meaningful, right? So you can see the sales in quarter one is 95,000. Here it is 101K. There's an improvement by 6%. From 101K, it increased to 105K. The increase in terms of percentage is 3.46. From here to here, there's a decrease in the sales by 6.7%. Okay, so this, we can see how it has behaved in 2013. Whether it has improved quarter over quarter growth can be seen in these cells over here. Okay, so that is how you will get year over year growth or quarter over quarter growth with respect to, the data that you define. It depends on the structure of the chart, depends on how you are doing it. Here I'm doing it with respect to the previous quarter. You can also do it with respect to the previous year and get the information. Okay, I hope it is clear. So now what we will do is, let's create another pivot table. I will create one more and demonstrate rank, or maybe over here itself I can show it. I'll do one thing. I will remove this. Okay, I'm going to delete this by removing it from here. Percent difference, let's remove, because it's a pivot table. You have to remove it from here. All right. Now this data is quite easy to understand. Across different quarters, we are looking at the sales performance of the business. Nothing much there. Now I want to indicate this by providing a rank, suppose. Then I'll have to do a right click, go to show values as, and then go to more options. So this is another formula that we are trying to learn now. How do we give a rank to these members based on their performance? So I'll go to more options. Okay. And I'll select the show data as option. And this time I would like to give a rank from smallest to largest. Okay, suppose I select that option. Rank it starting from smallest and go to the largest. What is it that we are trying to rank? We are trying to give a rank to these quarters, okay, based on their performance. Okay, now once I do that, you can see how it has given the ranks. Let me also show the actual sales for clarity's sake. I'll bring in the actual sales here, and I am going to rename this. This is the rank by sales, and this here is the actual sales. Okay, so how has it given the rank to these fields now? It was from smallest to largest that we said, right? So the smallest value has been given a rank of 1. Then the second smallest value over there. Okay, if I exclude this, then the next smallest value that we have, if I do not, we have given a rank of 1 to the smallest value. So if I exclude this, then out of the remaining 3 members, the smallest is this, which gets a rank of 2. Now, if I remove this, out of these 2, the next smallest gets a rank of 3, and the largest value got a rank of 4. Okay, same over here. If you look at the data down here, smallest to largest. So this is 1. The next smallest number is 2. Here is 3, and the largest sales, the quarter with the highest sales, has been given a rank of 4. We might not want it that way, right? Generally, what happens, wherever the performance is good, you would want to show a rank of 1. And where the performance is not so good, there you might want to show a rank, a small, 2 or 3 or 4. So how do we achieve this? Simply, I will right click there, go to show values as, and then I'll go to more options. Okay. And then here, where I applied the rank, I'm going to say not smallest to largest, but largest to smallest. Okay, don't go from smallest to largest, go from largest to smallest. So once I do this, it starts with the largest value and goes to the smallest, giving the rank. Okay, now you can see how the ranks have changed. the largest one, meaning that quarter with the highest sales, which is doing the best, got a rank of 1. The second best has been given a rank of 2. The third best got a rank of 3, and that quarter with the least sales has been given a rank of 4. Similarly, down here also you can see the ranks have been arranged. Okay. Now here, if we go, we can go ahead and sort the columns. We can even sort it. Now I am supposed to sort it how? By clicking here. Let's say I want to sort it by the rank of sales. Okay, based on the rank. Ascending or descending order you can choose. So what am I sorting? See, there is only one header here. There is only one header, one heading, and the whole data here is something that corresponds to quarter 3. The whole data here corresponds to quarter 2. So based on the very first row, okay, based on this, we are ranking it. Either in ascending or descending we can give. So let's go with this, because here we are going from what? Largest to smallest, based on which we have given the rank, isn't it? Largest to smallest. So it is descending order, decreasing order, and accordingly the ranks are given. So we have quarter 3 with rank 1 in the first place now, then this quarter 2 with the second best sales in the second position, so on and so forth. So it is also possible to sort the data if required. It need not always be quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, the default sequence. If necessary, we can go up there and we can sort it based on which field can be selected, and based on which sequence, whether it should be ascending or descending, also can be selected. Okay, I hope whatever we have discussed so far is clear. Avinash, is the voice clear now? That interruption, what you said, is it gone? Okay, still sometimes. Okay, just give me a moment. All right. So this is about percent difference, year over year growth, quarter over quarter growth through percent difference, and ranking the data based on the performance. Now we will talk about filters. Okay, so for that I will create a different pivot table. So let me just go ahead and create one more table with a slightly different structure. I will create it. Give it some other name. Okay, filter and slides, the options is what I'm giving as the name to that member. So let's say my chart is like this. I have data for different territories, and under each territory, I'm looking at various products being sold. Okay, this is the structure. I have the territory. Under that, I have the products being sold, and I'm looking at, suppose, the sales information. Okay, this is my data, and this is my table. Now, by default, you can see that this icon comes. This is basically a filter icon. This is basically a filter icon. Okay, and we can go and choose whatever territory or product we might want. If I select territory, means I'm essentially getting the list of territories. And when I uncheck something, east, south, okay, you can see now how it's showing me data only for west. Okay, it's showing me data only for west. If I include south, both of them. If I include west, the east, that also comes. So we can do filtering from here. Now, if I go to product level, then it will show me the list of products, and whichever product I might want to see, I will keep it. Whichever product might not be required, I can simply deselect it and remove it. Okay, this is how filters will work. Now, slicer is also a way of putting the filter itself, but it's slightly more visual. Okay, rather than going here to this arrow mark, then having to choose a field first, and then having to choose the members down here. A slicer, you can say, is simply a visual filter. Slicer is a visual filter is what you can tell. Let me try one thing. I'll just cut this and paste it here, just so I can put my slicers on the right side of my data. Okay. How do we put a slicer? This is my pivot table. When I click inside the pivot table, we have the pivot table analyze ribbon, right? And here you can see in this group, there is something called as insert slicer. So when I click on insert slicer button, it will show me the list of fields which I might want to see as a slicer. I want to see product. Okay, I would like to see product. So I'm selecting the product checkbox and I will click on OK. So this is what the slicer will look like. Okay, and when you use a slicer, what happens is another contextual ribbon will come related to the slicer. A contextual ribbon will come, and you can decide, how you might want to present, how you would want to design it, and all those things. So the height, the width, all these also you can increase. So you see, let me slightly increase the height of the members over there, of the entire slicer itself. You can even do it by dragging, okay? It's not like you have to go there. You can go to the border of the slicer and drag it. You can increase it in width, decrease it in width, okay? All these can be done. Now, within that, so there are two height and width fields, as you can see, right? The overall height and the overall width of the slicer. The last two options are for the overall width and height, meaning like this, overall it increases like this. And the one before it, this height and this width, is basically within the slicer. How do we want to present it? Each block, because it looks really small, right? The names, they're not very prominently visible. So you can also go ahead and adjust it like that. Okay, so I'm happy with this size. I don't want to do anything else over here. Okay, so this is what you can do with respect to the height and width. Now, right now, all of them are selected. Everything is active. So if I uncheck the product, or if I select this, okay, so right now I selected only one. If I select latte, you can see how amaretto got deselected. Latte is the one selected, and we are seeing the data for it. If I select mocha, it will show me only that, cafe, mocha. If I select Darjeeling, you can see what's happening. So it's a more interactive way of filtering your data. Now, how can we allow multiple select? All we need to do is go and click on this multi-select icon. And when I click on multi-select icon, it will now allow me to select multiple values. And whatever conditions I have applied, by clicking on this funnel with a cross mark, we can clear it. So when I clear the filter, basically it will show me everything. It shows me everything like that. Okay. So that is the purpose of a slicer. Now in this chart, I have product and I have territory. What if I might want to have a filter on product type? It would not be possible. The pivot table is built using territory and product as the fields. But if I want to filter on something else, maybe on product type or product line or state or something else, it wouldn't be possible. But we don't have such limitation with the slicer. Okay, I can go ahead and insert a slicer again. Okay, I will insert a slicer again, this time on product type. Though the field has not been used in the graph, I can still have product type in here. So this is another slicer that I brought in. I will keep it over here and move this a little bit, adjust them, and maybe use the same color so they look consistent. And within that, I want to increase the size. Okay, so size of each member in the slicer I have increased by going to the height option up here on the slicer contextual ribbon which comes up. Okay, so what should happen? See, if we know our data, generally when you begin analyzing any data for any project, right, you must understand your data first. Okay, what do I mean by that? See, any data visualization project or any data analytics project given to you, there are 4 things that we need to understand. First is we need to understand the requirement, and I'm sure all of you will agree with me. Okay, if you don't understand the requirement, then there is no point proceeding further. You need to get a thorough understanding of what is expected over there. And as important as understanding the requirement is, it is also very important to understand the data that we are working with. And most people don't give it as much importance. That is wrong. If you do not understand your data, if you're not familiar with your data, if you're not comfortable with your data, it will not be possible to come up with an optimum solution to the question at hand. Understanding the data is as important as understanding the requirement. So first thing you need to do is spend some time understanding the data. What is it that we are working with? What is the relationship between the fields? Is there any relationship? If yes, then what is it? What is the data type of each of these fields? What are they containing? Okay, get familiar with it. Then you will understand that there is product type, and under each product type, there are different products being sold. Right? There is that kind of a hierarchy in the data over here. Okay, we have different product types. Under each product type, there are certain products being sold. So then when we talk about visualization, okay, the third important aspect is to understand which chart to create when. Because there are so many ways in which we can represent the data graphically and visually. Given a requirement, no matter how good understanding you have of the requirement and the data, if you are not aware of which chart to create for that particular question, then again, it would be a problem, because how to create a chart, everybody will teach and everybody can learn. It's a few steps that we have to memorize and create the chart. But to analyze and understand when to create that kind of a chart, for what requirement am I supposed to create a bar chart? For which kind of a requirement should I go for a pie chart? When should I go for a histogram? When should I go for a bullet chart? When should I go for a dual axis chart? So that clarity also should be there. Finally, understand your audience. Because depending on the audience, we are going to tweak the representation. If you're creating a report, let's say for the CEO of an organization or for the board of directors, then what kind of a report would they expect? The overall summary of the performance of the business, and at the same time, an ability to drill down wherever required. If they want to focus on a region, they should be able to do that. If they want to focus on a particular state in that region, they should be able to drill down and zoom in. Okay, they should at any given point of time be able to see the summary. At the same time, they should be able to focus on the element of interest. Zoom in, zoom out, drill in, drill up. All the such features should be given to them. Now, let's say you're creating a report for the same organization, but this time it is for a sales representative. Would you present the overall performance of the business across different branches, across different states to that person? No, right? The amount of information we present would be very, very less, limited to the job role of the person, or how much access or how much information is to be given to that person. What would that person be interested in? Let's say a sales representative. That person would be interested in how am I performing with respect to my targets? Will I be able to reach my targets? How am I performing with respect to my colleagues? Where do I stand in the race? How am I performing with respect to myself in the past? Right? Me against my targets, me against my colleagues, my competitors, me against myself. Am I improving or not? So, depending on who your audience is, accordingly, you have to tweak the reports. We'll not present the same report to everyone. All right. Why am I saying all this now? Is because that's the next step we will take. We will proceed to creating charts. We will see how to visually represent the data. Okay. But here it's because it's important to understand the data. Now, I know there is a relationship between these two. I know that certain products belong to certain types. Okay. And Excel is a very intelligent tool. Now, suppose I go and choose coffee here. It is showing me all the members pertaining to coffee. And you see how in the filter also, it is highlighting only those three. right? Now, from these three options which belong to coffee, I can go and remove something that might not be required by deselecting it. Okay, the rest of them are disabled because they should not be selected. They don't come under coffee. Now, if I choose espresso, you can see how it has highlighted all the members belonging to espresso. If I select herbal tea, you see how it is bringing those members to the top of the slicer, helping me easily again select what I might want. Tea, it's bringing the tea related members on the top. This is the beauty of a slicer, of Excel in general, I should say. Okay, it's a very intelligent tool. Now I'm going to allow multi-select and I will be able to choose multiple things. But whatever I had deselected earlier remains deselected. I'll go and select decaf Irish cream. I'll have to go and select lemon to bring it back. So it automatically understood the relationship. All right. Next we will talk about. So slicer part, I hope it is clear. It's nothing but a visual filter. That is one point, that it's a visual filter. The second point is, even if a field is not present in that particular pivot table, you can filter by using a slicer. Product type was not used in creating this chart, but I was able to put a slicer on product type. The third point that we understood is the relationship between the members, if any, is automatically understood, automatically detected, and accordingly, very intelligently, the members in the slicers get updated depending on what you choose in the parent member. Okay, depending on one member, the other one. Okay, the next thing we will talk about now is insert timeline. And by looking at that funnel, this is also a filter, but it is a filter that will help you show data for a certain period of time. Okay, now here we don't have time. I will just bring in time. Even if we don't have time field, even if we don't have the date field, we can still use it. So let me show you that first. I'll just click on insert timeline. Okay, based on the date, I want to insert the timeline. So you can see how the slicer has come. This is the timeline slicer. Okay, maybe I'll put it here. And you see, it's by default showing me data for all the years, all time periods. By month, it is showing. So we have data for 2012 and 13 in this data source, Jan through December 2012, and then Jan through December of this. Okay, you can see everything. Now, by just dragging this, okay, you can see the numbers are changing, isn't it? I hope you're able to see that the numbers are changing. I want to see the performance of the business in January 2012. Only Jan I selected. This is what it is. If I click on Feb, if I click on March, this is the data for March, data for April, data for May, data from June. At the same time, we can also go to the border. Okay, we can go to the border and pull it for multi-select to be able to select multiple months, to be able to select a range. You can just go there and pull it. You can just go there and pull it. Okay, then here on the top right corner, we can change it. Let's say I want to filter based on quarters. So now you see how the slicer got updated and you can adjust the size. Quarters only it's showing me. If I say Q1 or Q2, or if I say a combination of all of these things, multiple quarters, accordingly it will come. Okay, I hope you're able to understand what we are doing here. Let me do one thing. I will introduce date field also for more clarity. Let me just bring in date to columns. So you can see that it is now showing us data for different. Let me select everything. Okay, all the quarters. All of this. All right. So we can drill down to quarter level. Let me drill down here also to quarter level. So now you can see how it is. Do one thing, yeah. Making space for this slicer to come on the top. Time filter. Timeline. Again, here also you can adjust the colors and all. think this is fine. So right now, this is what we are looking at. Okay. Now I want to look at data only for 2013. So I will just move here, go here. You see 2013 Q1 alone is coming. If I move it, Q2 also, if I move it and take it. So what am I doing? I'm selecting the data for these 4 quarters of 2013. Accordingly, the chart is getting updated. So we can also have timeline slicers like this. It is nothing but a filter, but it's a more visual and interactive way of choosing the range of time, right? The time period, range of dates basically over here, range of quarters in this case. If I go and make it months, then I can choose a range of months for which I might want to see the data. Okay. So October, November, December, that is Q4 of 2012. And then the remaining everything of 2013. So if I just bring this down over here like that. All right. Now there's one more point I would like to mention about here with respect to slicers. We saw here we saw that we can insert slicer, we can insert timeline, we can also define filter connections, okay, which are automatically detected. There is a connection between product and product type. Because these are automatically detected, when I selected a certain product type, accordingly the products got updated. Okay, so if you want to break the connection, you can break it by deselecting these options. Let's not break it here. The next thing is, where is that option? Slicer settings. Whether you might want to display the header, in which sequence should the members on the slicer appear and all. Now this can be accessed even from the slicer context menu. Okay, slicer settings. So when you go to slicer settings up here, see right now it is coming in ascending order. We can also change it to descending order. So the sequence in which the members appear will change. Okay, I will go back and change it to ascending order, and the slicers would have a header. Header is by default the caption, which is the product. If you want, you can change the caption by typing something else over here. Okay, now what I want you all to look at is the report connections. Report connections. So whatever slicer I'm going to, or whatever member I'm going to select on the slicer over here, based on this, suppose I want the other charts, other pivot tables also to get updated. This is a very interesting and very important feature. What am I saying? Here we have products. Okay. Now let's say on sheet 1 also, I will include products. I will include product over here also. Okay. Let's say we are looking at data for different products over here also. What happened? Let me do one thing. We'll just create one more table with product in it. Sheet 3, product data. Okay, so I'm having different products and some information about those products over here. Products and information about certain products over here. Okay, now I'll go back here where I have my slicer. If I make some change on this slicer, let's say I'm selecting a product here. Okay, I removed the multi-select option. I'm selecting a product here. Data for that product alone is appearing. And for whatever timeline I have used for that timeline, data for that product is going to appear. Okay, so no doubt about that. The whole thing, the whole range I have selected from Jan up to December 2013, and this is the data. Now, whatever I do here, let's go back to the product data. Here it did not impact. This pivot table is independent of the slicers used over there, isn't it? This is still showing me all the data. But suppose you might want to create a relationship create an interdependency between the pivot tables, we can do that. Report connection. If you want to connect these two reports, how? I'll go back here. So on this, on the pivot table analyze contextual menu, from where we put the slicer and the timeline next over here or on the slicer. I'm getting a little confused. One moment. Slicer context menu. Yeah, sorry. On the slicer context menu, we have something called as report connections. Okay, slicer settings is one thing where you can choose ascending order, descending order, whether to show the header or not. Fine. Next to that is reports connections. Very, very important feature. When you click on report connections, you can make sure that this particular slicer impacts other pivot tables also if necessary. So this is right now on sheet number 2, and I want it to impact the pivot table which is present on sheet number, the product name sheet, product data sheet over here. I named this sheet to product data. See, one good practice is to give a meaningful name to all the sheets, give a meaningful name to all the pivot tables and to all the tables. I didn't do that. It's not correct. You should always keep giving a meaningful name, so that when we are creating such interdependencies, it becomes easier for us only to track what we are doing. So I have the slicer. Where do I have it? On sheet number 2. The one that I'm working with right now is sheet 2. And I have product information on the product data sheet, which is this one. Now I want the slicer over here to impact the pivot table present in this sheet. Okay, I hope you all understood what I'm trying to do here. Now, how do we do it? Just select it. Just select it. From where? From report connections. And where is report connections present? On the slicer contextual menu. Okay, we know that certain menus will appear, contextual menus will appear depending on where you select and click. If I click in the pivot table, I will get the 2 contextual menus related to pivot table. What are they? Pivot table analyze ribbon and the design ribbon will come. Okay, here because I clicked on the slicer ribbon has come. In the slicer ribbon, we have report connections. Okay, so let me go to report connections, and now I want this to be related. Okay, now what will happen is, suppose I select latte over here, cafe latte. You can see the chart in this sheet, but you will notice how even the data and product data sheet gets updated accordingly. Okay, so like that, you can define interdependencies between the reports. I will allow multi-select now, and let's say I'm selecting 5 products. Okay, so what will happen under product data sheet? All the 5 products will appear. All right, if I go here and just clear the filter and keep all the products, if I go down here, it's going to show me all the products. So changes made or slices that are applied in one sheet, if necessary, you can make them impact the other sheets also. That is the bottom line here. Okay. So from our agenda, we covered show data as options, some more calculations in there. We talked about slicers, timeline slicers, and also how to change certain settings over there based on a requirement. So remember that when you're working with timeline slicer, you can choose the month, year, quarter, how exactly might you want to slice the data. Okay, you can go here and choose it. Accordingly, the options will get updated in the timeline. Okay, and then you can select exactly what you want or even a range of dates if necessary. All right, now let's proceed to introduction to basic charts. Just introduction I will give you all. Now I'll copy this data, just the data I'm going to copy and keep it in a new sheet. Okay. This is my data. I will insert one cell. You right click and you can see an option to insert. Because I want the header here, product, and this is, I don't know, maybe the profit information. Okay, whatever data it is. Because this is a header, let me highlight it and make it come to the center. And I will give it an outline. Okay, data entry, simple data entry kind of a thing I'm doing. This whole thing is my data. Now, given this data, let's say I am supposed to create a graph, represent this data in a graphical format. How to represent this data in a graphical format? Okay, just introduction I will give you. Whatever data you might have, if you have to create a graph out of it, you must go to the insert ribbon. Okay, on the insert ribbon, towards the middle of that ribbon, we have something called as charts. You can see these icons. These are all nothing but visual graphs. The very first option is recommended charts. Now, what is this? Based on the data in that graph, okay, based on the data in that particular sheet, Excel will recommend the most appropriate ways to present that data in a graphical format. Okay, it is suggesting that we should go ahead. If we want to visually represent the data, we might want to consider creating a chart like this. This is called as horizontal bar graph. These are bars and the orientation of the bars is horizontal. These are horizontal bars. You can see it created the horizontal bar the moment I clicked on it. And this is how it is. Okay, this is how my data is. We'll do one thing. We will just sort this data by going here up to the sort option, sort it. Now, these are sorted, right? So when my data got sorted, you can see how within the chart also the data got updated. So it's showing me the highest to lowest. Colombian with the highest profit is here. All right. When we click here on chart title, it becomes editable. And I'm just going to change the chart title and call this product level profits. Okay. Slightly, we can even, okay, fine. Let us leave it there. So this is the chart that I created based on the recommendation which Excel gave. Now, if we want this chart not here, but in a new sheet, sometimes the data might be very big, it might be wide and long and tall. So we might want it in a different sheet. So we have an option to send it. Where is that option? Move chart. Okay, move chart. So once I select move chart option, it will ask me where to move the chart. I want this chart from product details. Okay, I want it from product details to move to a new sheet. And it's giving a name to that sheet. You can give a meaningful name. So let's say bar graph, I'll call it the new sheet. Okay. Now you will notice how it has created a new sheet called bar graph and it has moved our chart in there. Okay. Now, the moment you create a chart, again, a contextual ribbon to work with the chart will come up. You can see chart design ribbon. This is what it has created. Now, by clicking on this, you can get it in different forms, different shades, different styles are available. There are many styles that you can check, and whatever you feel is more appropriate, you can go with it. Okay, there is a variety of styles which are provided to us. Then we can go ahead and add certain elements to the chart from this very first option in the chart design contextual ribbon. Add chart element. Axis, they are already there. Horizontal axis is there. Vertical axis is there. If I uncheck this, you will notice a change down here. Okay, let me just. You see these numbers, okay, on the axis, they disappeared. Now, if I say vertical things, I don't want, I will uncheck it. And you can see the names on the header have disappeared. Let's bring back the horizontal and the vertical axis. Next is the axis titles. Axis titles. So I want a title for the vertical axis. Okay. So here title comes. These are the products. These are the products. Okay. So that is the title I want to give it. Axis title for horizontal one also. This is basically the profit range. Okay, so I want to give the title like that. Let's go back here and turn on the thing. Next, chart title. It is there, and it is there above the chart. Product level profits is the chart title, and it is at the top. If I say centered overlay, then within the graph, it will come in the middle. You're getting it, no? We don't have a separate space allocated to the chart title if we do that. So let's allocate, none means the title will go away, okay? As you can see, I will allocate it separately. Above chart we will keep. And let's call this. Do one thing, okay? Now I'll be able to access it better. Okay. So just go ahead, because it's the weekend now and we don't have classes for the next 2 sessions. Create a basic chart like this and explore all the options that are there over here. You can notice that it's pretty much easy, right? You can just go to each option over there and see what happens when you use different options out here. Okay, these are all very, very simple. Try to explore them. If you have any doubt with respect to any of these options, not the trend line, ignore the trend line, but the rest of the options, if you have any doubts, we will take it up, because trend lines is a different concept. We will take it up together in the class. So legends, so we are indicating profit, right? So you can see the legend. The series of data is coming with blue color. That's what it's indicating. Then you can go to quick layout. There are some options to change the chart very quickly through this quick layout. Depending on what chart you click upon, which option you click upon, you can see it getting updated accordingly, right? So this is another way of going ahead and changing your chart style from the quick layout. Then we have this change colors palette kind of a thing. You can go there and use a different color also. It's not like we are stuck with whatever color we have got for the bars. You can go ahead and change the color. You can use whatever color you feel is more appropriate. Accordingly, the designs will change. All right. Now, if let's say I've created a bar graph and later I don't like it, I want to change it. So we can go to this change chart type and we can change it. Let's say I want them as vertical columns. Okay, not as horizontal bars, but as vertical columns. So when I click on this, they will become vertical columns. You see? Okay. Now, under this also, we have different options. Depending on the data again, not all the options will be applicable or relevant all the time. Depending on how much data you're showing, some options are relevant, some are not. So you can go and explore the column and horizontal bar charts. Okay. So yeah, I hope you will explore this thing. That's it. Now I'll see what all questions are there and answer them. I had not connected to the YouTube thing today because there was some network interruption. So what I request you all to do is, okay, is just create a small table like the one I did. Create a small table like this. Okay, create a pivot table. Let me repeat. You go to your table, go to the table ribbon, summarize with pivot table, okay, and create one new pivot table. How will you create it? Just put product and you can take the profit data. All right. Once you have this, only copy the data part. Just copy the data in the pivot table and paste it in a new sheet. After you paste it in a new sheet, what you can do is go to the insert ribbon. Okay. From there, go to recommended charts and explore these charts that are provided. The moment you create a vertical column chart, or by even changing the chart type, a horizontal bar if you want, whatever it is, after you have created it, explore the first 3 options and the design, of course. Explore on the chart design contextual ribbon that comes up, add chart element, quick layout, change colors, okay, and these different styles that are available, and change chart type, these kind of things you can explore. All right. Now, when would we create a bar graph or a column chart like this? It is for comparative analysis. For comparative analysis, meaning when you are given information for certain members and you need to just compare, do a relative comparison of their performance. How are they performing with respect to each other? at a glance, I need to understand what is the highest point and the lowest point. Which member is giving me the highest profit? Which one is giving me the least profit? And relative performance. So lemon is better than decaf espresso. And Earl Grey is not as good as chamomile with respect to profit. Getting it? Mocha is not as good as Earl Grey. So relative comparison, given two members, I can compare and tell how they are with respect to each other. And overall also, I can understand the highs and lows in the data. Low performing members, high performing members. Okay, so bar graphs, vertical column charts, these charts are used for comparison. Okay, whenever you get any requirement related to comparison, the first chart that usually comes to anybody's mind is horizontal bars or vertical columns. These are vertical columns or simply a column chart. Okay, so please do explore the basic charts to the extent possible. In the next session and next few sessions for that matter, we will be discussing about charts, because visualization, representing the data in a graphical format by creating visualizations, is the core of data analysis. Okay, of a data, it's the core role of a data analyst. You should know which chart to create given some data, and you should know how to create that chart. So next, I think 2 or 3 sessions, we will be focusing on graphs. Okay. So thank you all so much. I hope it was informative, and please do practice. And before leaving, please do hit the like button. I'm going to now look at the questions. Because of some network issue, I was not able to join through my mobile and see your questions. Okay. Okay. So thank you all so much. I hope. Okay. Satish, target slicer is a very good. Okay. Okay, Divya, you're saying you're not able to see all the products in the slicer when you have selected product. Maybe the slicer is very small in size. Can you check that once, Divya? See, because when you put a slicer, by default, it will have some size. Okay, you need to go to the border and you have to adjust the size, make it bigger or smaller. Otherwise, you'll get a scroll bar like this. That could be the reason. Check if you feel that even after increasing, it's not showing. Maybe you have done it on some other field. That is another thing you have to check. Naveen, you're saying you don't have slicer option. That could be version issue, Naveen. If you're using a very old version of Excel, that could be, or that could also be one of the reasons why insert slicer isn't there. So you just go to pivot table, analyze ribbon and check once. If it's not coming, then could be a version issue. Yeah, Satish, so how to change the colors of the bar we saw? How do we put values in ascending or descending order? I showed that, na? So if your data is sorted, then accordingly, the bars also will get sorted. Like in this case, no? So when the data is sorted, the bars will get sorted. So let's just go and sort the data from largest to smallest. And you can see accordingly, this is getting sorted. All right, Naveen, you're saying you got it, okay? Most of the work we can finish using Excel compared to Tableau. Yes, we can do certain things in Excel, but Tableau is a much more powerful tool with respect to visualization. See, in Tableau, you don't even have to create these pivot tables, right? The moment you create, everything is organized into dimensions and measures. And as you drag and drop dimensions and measures, you can see how they take a visual from automatically. Isn't it, Srinivas? How it is slightly more advanced with respect to visualization aspect. That's a very, very advanced tool used for visualization, Tableau. Excel is amazing when you have to do such data manipulation for cleaning the data and all. You can do that on Excel and then take that data into Tableau and create the visualizations there. That would be my suggestion. Tableau, look at it as a visualization tool. Amazing capabilities it has there. Okay, Divya, if it's showing only one product, maybe somewhere you have a filter or something. You may have to check that. Otherwise, I think you have my number, no? You can contact me one-on-one. I will clarify your doubt. Okay, Divya? Okay, thank you all so much. Please practice the basic things in the charts. Then we can proceed to advanced charts in the next few modules. And please do subscribe to the channel, those of you who have come new. And please do like the video before you leave. That's how I get to know that at least some of you are finding it helpful, whoever has liked it. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.